Everyone, this is Modula and Podrick, and we will be informing you all about what is going on in the digital world.
Welcome to the future humans. Let's start.
Okay, so let's talk about something that's happening all across America, something that's kind of hidden in plain sight. It's a story about the real physical cost of our digital lives, a massive industrial boom that's unfolding right under our noses. I mean, just picture it. More than 2 of these giant windowless warehouses are popping up every single week. They're completely transforming landscapes, from the quiet suburbs of Virginia to the deserts of Arizona. These are the hidden engines powering the AI revolution. Yeah, these things, they're called data centers, and they're the physical backbone of, well, everything we do online, from streaming movies to just asking our phone a simple question. But here's the thing, they have an absolutely insatiable appetite for resources. So here's the crazy part. Who's building them? You'd think there'd be some big public map, right? Nope, not a chance. Tech companies go to incredible lengths to keep these things secret, leaving communities and even investigators totally in the dark. Before we get into the massive scale of it all, let's start with the people, the folks who are actually living in the shadow of this boom, because their stories, well, they tell you pretty much everything you need to know. I thought I was losing my mind. That's a direct quote from a resident named Donna Gallant. Imagine, your peaceful suburban life is just shattered by a sound, a constant low-frequency hum from these new data centers that you feel as much as you hear, bringing on anxiety and sleepless nights. So her neighborhood, which was once this quiet place, is now basically being encircled by these massive 70-foot-tall buildings. And when she tries to get answers, it's just a total wall of silence. Companies and even local officials hide behind non-disclosure agreements. Land that was supposed to be for houses is now an industrial zone, and her legal challenges have gone nowhere. And it's not just her. A guy named Carlos Janis, his family lives nearby. His little boy, who's only 7 years old, started having nightmares, telling his dad there was a spaceship hovering over their house. That's how strong the vibrations are. He says it feels like they're being bombarded in their own home every single night. So that brings up a huge question, right? If there's no official map, and these companies are actively trying to stay hidden, how in the world do you even begin to figure out how big this whole thing really is? Well, that's exactly the problem a team of journalists ran into. They hit a brick wall. Public records were blocked out, companies were just saying, nope, trade secrets, so they had to get really, really clever. And the key, the one little clue that cracked this whole case wide open, was diesel generators. See, every single one of these data centers needs huge backup generators for when the power grid fails. And to have those, you need an air quality permit. Bingo. That was the back door. Even when the permits were filed under some anonymous shell company name, they could cross-reference those names and unmask the tech giants hiding behind them. So they just started pulling those permits, hundreds and hundreds of them. And slowly but surely, by peeling back all those layers of corporate anonymity, the real picture, the true scale of this industry finally started to come into focus for the very first time. What these journalists put together is the most complete map of America's data center industry that has ever been created. And honestly, the results are pretty startling. The team ended up mapping over 1,200 of these large-scale facilities. And get this, that's just the ones big enough to need an air permit for their generators. So the real number, it's probably even higher. And this chart, wow, it really puts the explosive growth into perspective. We're talking about a nearly 4-fold increase in less than 15 years. This isn't just growth, it's a full-blown industrial boom. And it's all driven by our endless demand for more data and more AI. So who's behind all this? Well, it's not a big surprise, really. It's the names you'd expect: Amazon, Microsoft, Google. A tiny handful of big tech companies pretty much own this entire landscape. And they love to cluster them together, creating these hotspots like Data Center Alley in Northern Virginia. Okay, so now let's zoom out. We've heard the personal stories. We've seen the sheer scale. But what's the systemic cost? What is this build-out doing to our most critical resources as a country? You know, the term the cloud has to be one of the best marketing tricks ever. It sounds so light, so clean, so harmless. But the reality? It couldn't be more different. It's not floating in the sky. It's sitting right here on the ground in massive, power-hungry, water-guzzling industrial warehouses. And speaking of water guzzling, this next number is genuinely shocking. Almost half, 43% of these giant facilities are being built in places that are already dealing with high or even extreme water stress. Think about that. We're building the thirstiest industry in some of our driest places. Just look at this one example. In a desert state like Arizona, where their main water source, the Colorado River, has already shrunk by 20% since the year 2000, Microsoft had plans for a single campus to use, wait for it, 1.8 billion gallons of water a year. That's enough water for a whole city of over 60,000 people. So this all leads us to the big final question. As we're racing full steam ahead into this AI-powered future, who's actually paying the price for it all? Because while big tech is getting billions in tax breaks, it seems to be the public that's picking up the tab. We're talking about the potential for skyrocketing electricity bills, seriously strained power grids, and even states having to backtrack on their green energy goals, keeping old coal plants open just to meet the demand. And the promise of jobs? Oftentimes these billion-dollar projects create as few as 25 permanent jobs. 25. So as our world gets more and more automated, we have to have a real, honest conversation about what we're trading away. The convenience is great, no doubt about it, but what's the real price we're all paying for it? Is anyone even stopping to ask?